Hey everybody, welcome to episode 4 of the Cucco Attack. I'm Chad Hembrock,
And I'm Patrick Hughes.
and we've got a bunch of stuff to talk about today. Maybe we'll make this a little shorter than the last couple episodes. We'll see. We always say that. We're gonna say that every time and go way over our allotted time that we try to do this in. But today we're gonna talk about the games that we've been playing as usual. Apple Arcade being announced as another gaming service for their tablets and other devices. We have the PlayStation State of Play direct
Direct.
direct. We have some news from PAX East, as well as Valve talking about entering the VR market, and some new Switch rumors with software and hardware. So let's break right into it. Patrick, what have you been playing?
All right. Yeah, so there's two games I've been kind of playing recently. One, as you kind of mentioned and saw last week, I've been playing more Diablo 3, finally getting into that game that I picked up ages ago. Um, and yeah, I just finished the first act of the game, and I gotta say it's a lot more fun playing on console than when I first played it years ago on PC. Like just having
Surprising.
all the abilities mapped to buttons and stuff, it just feels really natural actually.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, there's not much to say. It's kind of like mindless bashing monsters and finding loot. It's not really a thought-provoking game, but it's been fun so far. So
Yeah, I remember that game was, it's such a PC staple game, especially from like the mid '90s. That was huge, huge PC. Blizzard, one of Blizzard's biggest games, and then I don't know. To me, I feel like it should live on PC. So to hear you say that it feels natural on console, sounds like they did
yeah,
a really good job with it.
yeah, it really surprised me because I was of the same mindset. It felt like it should have belonged on PC, but they've really adapted it well. So, um, and then the other game I've been playing is
Hollow
this little
Knight.
indie. Oh yes, I've been playing more Hollow Knight. I don't really have anything new to say other than it's still amazing. So, um, but one game I do want to talk about real quick is this indie game called Wandersong. I don't know if you've heard of it.
I have
Uh,
not.
yeah, so the basic premise of the game is you are like a musical bard or minstrel, and you have this vision that the world is going to end, and the only way that you can save it is to learn this earth song, um, which means you have to travel the world and find these seven different overseers in the dream realms, and so you go on this grand quest and you basically solve all your problems through singing. You don't use swords or anything. It's just he sings and somehow this solves all the world's problems. But um
It's like
what
Glee.
really what really makes this game stand apart is the writing in this game is just so charming. It's funny, it's at times heartfelt, it gets sometimes really dark and serious, but it's a game that warms your heart. Like it's the best feel good game you could ever play. It's so much fun. This is actually me playing my second playthrough because when I went to see one of my friends from college in Norfolk one weekend, my parents had a kind of overlapping trip, so we got a hotel to save cost. And so I brought my Switch and dock because I thought maybe we'd have fun playing something while in the hotel. And we ended up playing Wandersong. I showed them the game, and they fell in love with it too. So I've been kind of playing it whenever I go to my parents' house to watch hockey. Like during between the periods, I've been playing more Wandersong and
Hmm.
finishing the game for them because they're like, I want to see what happens the rest of this game. And I've been enjoying it just as much the second time. Like the writing is just so it makes me feel so happy.
Is it? So you said your main weapon, I guess, is singing.
Yes.
Is it a platformer action? Did you say what that was? I'm sorry if I missed
Oh,
that.
right. No, I didn't mention. So it's like a 2D side-scrolling game.
Hmm.
Um, and you've seen by using the other stick, whatever direction you point in is like what note you're singing. So it's got like a musical color wheel,
Hmm.
and it has lots of like creative mechanics throughout the game and like ways you use them. Like you learn patterns to sing to a bird, and he'll start following you and help you jump higher, or you see ghosts and you have to like kind of sing back the patterns to drive them away, or you sing and you like push fog away and stuff. So
Hmm.
it's not very challenging per se, but there's a lot of creativity to be found, and it's just a very relaxing, happy kind of game.
How much
And the
was
story,
it?
um, I think it's $15 or $20, but I've seen it go on sale occasionally. So, and all in all, I think it ended up being like a 10-hour game, which isn't too bad. So,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Not bad.
but
Cool.
yeah, I highly recommend checking that out if interested, or just watch a trailer at least, and you'll see if this looks like you or not.
Cool. Yeah, I'll definitely check it out. It sounds interesting. Different, you know, mechanics for gameplay can either make or break a game. So, if you're praising it, I think it might be worth checking out.
Oh yeah, definitely,
Something
definitely.
different. I'm always down to
But
try something different.
yeah. But what have you been playing?
Finally started playing The Messenger, and I think it's as great as all of its hype. um, so when it first came out, there was a lot of people, praising it, and there's a lot of people talking about, like it's amazing, and then it turns from this linear Ninja Gaiden style game into a full-blown Metroidvania, and everyone kind of said some people said that they loved the game until the Metroidvania part. Other people said that they hated the game up until the Metroidvania part. So um, I didn't really think about it. I knew that it was going to happen at some point, but I feel like the game is. I don't even remember how long I've played it. I've played it for past few nights, but I beat the first like I think it's like 6 or 7 bosses, and thought if this was an NES game, I'd be done by now. And then I just finally beat that last part where it turns it into the Metroidvania, and and I was loving the game, loved it, and I still think it's a very good game. But I did get lost as soon as like the Metroidvania part started. It became a little confusing just because you have a couple portals you have to go through, and you have to kind of go back to areas that you used to that you were exploring in the more linear part. But now you'll see like when you go through those areas the first time, you'll notice like blocks that you can't break or areas that you can't get to, and then later in those levels you'll get an item and you'll realize, oh, I could have used that back then. So you kind of have that feeling that's going to turn into that anyway. You'll be backtracking, but there's there's a there's a prophet in the game who kind of gives you hints on where to go, but it's very vague.
Okay.
And then there's a shopkeeper in the game, which is where you buy all your upgrades from, and he'll actually help you progress through the game. Um, but once you get to that Metroidvania part, you can buy hints from him, and he'll actually mark it on the map, like where you should go.
Oh, cool.
Which I looked that up. I found that I never bought any hints from him, but I used them. I ended up using a guide because I was just kind of like, where do I go? and and then the guide was basically like, if you buy the hints, they'll put a mark on your map and you'll know. And I was like, all right, but I'd rather use that money for upgrades because I think I still have there's like a thousand upgrade and a 2,000 upgrade available, and I think I have like 400. So I still have to collect more. I forgot what it's called. It's like some sort of shard or something. But no, I think the game's great. It feels like, at least in the linear part, it's like Ninja Gaiden, but they fixed it. So like mechanics such as like so you can't jump or slash down. You can't like jump and slash down, which is fine.
Okay.
That's just like Ninja Gaiden. But one of the biggest things they fixed was one of the upgrades allows you to cancel the the damage bounce back. So if you get hit by an enemy and you kind of fly backwards, you
Mhm.
can hit you can hit the jump button and it'll like propel you forward. So it kind of fixes that whole mechanic of like a very
Those
yeah, like a
those
very
like
frustrating
cheap
issue.
deaths where you just like bounce back and then you're like, no, I'm gonna go off the edge.
Yeah, so it's really cool. It feels good too. Like it takes a few minutes to get used to when it happens, but then once you realize like, oh, I can get hit through this, and it just makes it a little easier, obviously. But I think it's a huge flaw in Ninja Gaiden, which I have beaten. So, I can beat that game as well. But it's definitely nice to be able to cancel that out because that's the most frustrating part of that game. Um, but like I said, not being able to slash down, not a huge issue, but in this game, you can also get like a gliding mode, which kind of gives you like a wingsuit, so you can like go up and down through some like wind tunnels and stuff like that. But when you're floating down, you can slash down as well. I think you have to have an upgrade for that as well. So that's just something different. But
Cool.
really, I think the biggest fix as far as like a Ninja Gaiden fix is definitely the bounce back. I thought that was huge. And then the way the game works, they teach you the mechanic right out the bat is if you hit something with your sword, it gives you an ability to jump. It's called a cloud jump. So you can like you hit something and then that gives you the power to jump again midair as soon as you make contact with an hittable item. So like a lantern, just like a Ninja Gaiden, if you hit a lantern, it's going to give you an item. Most likely you're going to get coins or you're going to get a health, a potion, or you'll get some shards which are like ninja stars. Um, but that's sorry. Lost my train of thought. That's what's cool about it is it gives you that option to jump as well. So you can, if there's a lantern, underneath a platform you can't reach, you hit the lantern and jump, and you're double jumping essentially.
Mhm.
And there's some areas where it's like a big gap, and you'll have like six lanterns, and you've basically got to jump and bounce across all of them just using your sword and the cloud jump ability.
Gotcha.
And you can also do that with enemies. So like if an enemy shoots a fireball at you, you can like let the fireball go across the screen to a spot that you wouldn't be able to reach, and then jump, hit the fireball, then jump again, and then you can get up there. So it's it's really neat. I think it's really clever. There's some really cool enemies in the game too. Like there's these they're not really bad, but there's like these floating butterfly things that when you hit them, they expand, and then that opens up a portal in time, and then behind that you'll see like platforms appear that couldn't see in regular time. So it's kind of neat,
Interesting.
just being able to
Yeah.
incorporate that kind of stuff to get to other levels and extra areas, and it will basically like, I don't want to spoil too much of this, but there's one spot where it spikes, and you see those little butterflies. So once you hit the butterfly, the spikes disappear, but you have to stay within their radius, otherwise the spikes appear
That
again.
kind of reminds me of like the Skyward Sword like time crystals or whatever that they had.
I don't
Just like
remember.
alternate. You don't remember?
I played that game so long ago. Never want to go back to it just because of the amount of frustration.
That was like the coolest part of that game though. In the
Yeah,
desert and you hit the crystals and they like everything would turn into color all of a sudden, and, like grass filled.
I do not remember that at all. I played that game when it came out, and then I went to Brazil for like 3 weeks. And then when I came back, I never picked it up again for like 2 more years, and then I finally beat it. It was probably the longest. That was probably the longest Zelda game that I like waited to beat, except for maybe Spirit Tracks. Spirit Tracks is another one I waited for forever. But the Messenger though, it's real. I think it's really good. If you like Ninja Gaiden, you'll love the first part of it for sure. Like I said, it's challenging. I mean, it's not as hard as Ninja Gaiden because I got through it pretty quick. There was a couple bosses I got stuck on, and I looked up a video on how do I beat this guy, and then I looked at it and it was really something stupid that I just wasn't paying attention to, like like hitting something else to get higher, just something like that, or just something really dumb that I overlooked. And so I went ahead and beat that. And and then the final boss is pretty difficult too, because there's a lot of jumping around, a lot of dodging fireballs and trying not to hit the fire and stuff like that. But it can be difficult for sure. But if you like Ninja Gaiden, you'll love that. And then so far, I think the Metroidvania part's really cool. I got lost at the beginning of it. Maybe I just wasn't paying attention close enough to what they were telling me, but there were definitely a few things that I got stuck on, and but I do like it. I think it's great. One thing I didn't mention is that the art style, when you are pretty much near the end of the Ninja Gaiden part, which it's all in like 8-bit pixel art,
Mhm.
it flips to 16-bit pixel art. So it turns in, and like the music changes too. It sounds very Sega Genesis, like sounds like Sega Genesis. It's very like I don't even know how to explain the Sega Genesis. It's just very like bow bow
Yeah.
bow bow. It's very like it's just very iconic. Um, Reminds me of like Altered Beast when that game like starts up, and it's just very very distinct sound to it. But yeah, so that changes to that. But then once you get to the Metroidvania part, you'll see like time rifts, and when you walk through them, depending on if you're in 16, you'll go to 8-bit. If you're in 8-bit, you'll go to 16-bit, and then that will open up new areas of the world that you were never able to get to before, and helps you with some of the puzzles and stuff like that as well.
Cool.
But watching it all change on the fly is really really neat. They did a really good job on that, and I think that right there alone is like the charm of that is just fantastic. Um,
Mhm.
I'm still trying to power through the Metroidvania part. I've gotten you have to collect like six note keys. It's like a song you have to collect the notes for, and I think I've got like 2 of the 6 so far. So I still got a little ways to go, but it's fun. I'm definitely enjoying the game. I just feel lost now in the Metroidvania part. So
Cool.
yeah,
Cool. Yeah.
it's I'd say check it out. I'd maybe wait for a sale if you can get it. I don't know. I think the cheapest it's been down to is like 15. That's what I bought it for. I
Mhm.
think. But if it goes to 10, absolutely. 15's not bad. I don't know if I'd pay 20 for it, but maybe it's good.
Cool.
I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely on my wish list, so I'm keeping an eye on it while I tackle a few of the other games, and if it goes on sale, I'll probably pick it up. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
So that's all I've really been playing. I haven't had time for much of anything else. A little bit of Tetris 99 still. Still like I'm finishing in the top 10, but I can't get number 1, and I think they just released an update for that actually. That's
I
supposed
heard,
to
yeah,
have like
yeah.
a
It's supposed to help not those accidental like blocks fallings. Like I know I always accidentally like slam it down when I didn't mean to, so I think they
yeah.
add a little more buffer time to that.
Yeah,
So
there was a big issue with that with the Pro controllers. What people were saying with the D-pad on the original Pro controllers, which I have one. I've played with it a few times. I didn't notice that much of a difference, honestly. But I'm not a hardcore player for I play for fun in my free time when I have 5-10 minutes to play. So um, but and then they also changed the winning screen, which I don't know what that even looked like to begin with, and I don't think I ever will. So,
probably why they changed it. So forgettable.
right? So it's like a select few people get to see a new thing, but yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I'm gonna try to power through the rest of the messenger so I can move on to something else on my never-ending backlog. So yeah, so we can go ahead and jump into the next topic, I guess. We've got the Apple Arcade announcement that
That's
they
right.
announced in their keynote. I think it was last Monday. I think last Monday when they announced that.
Sometime last week. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is going to be a game service that they offer on their um, iPad and iPhone devices and the Apple TV devices as
Apple
well, I
TV
believe.
or yeah.
Yeah, I don't
I
think they said
think
anything
that
about the
maybe
Mac.
they're Macs. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, I don't remember them saying anything about the Mac, but basically what it's going to be a subscription-based service where they're going to have certain number of games from, as of right now, from a a small group of, what do they call them, like premium indie developers or something like that. It was some term they used. I don't remember. Um, but they're gonna use those to basically give you console level games on your mobile devices. They showed a trailer for like an isometric like van apocalypse game. They showed a RPG from one of the Final Fantasy creators or the Final Fantasy creator.
Mm.
Um,
They showed the next game from that the Giant Squid studio who did the Abzu like underwater game. Their next one is that one with the ninja and the bird. Um, I forget what it's called.
yeah, I forget
Um,
what like all these are called just because it was
yeah.
I don't know. They went through it kind of quick, and well, I guess it wasn't quick, but I didn't notice. I didn't recognize anything, except for I think I did recognize Oceanhorn 2 in the
Okay.
trailer.
Yeah.
I feel like I saw that, and that game would make sense because Oceanhorn was originally on iOS,
Hmm.
and I feel like I saw that trailer there because Oceanhorn 2 looks very Breath of the Wildy, like the guy's
Yeah.
wearing like a blue
Which
tunic and he's got yeah. So I'm pretty sure that's what I saw in the trailer. Um, but yeah, they didn't announce any of the prices for it. They didn't. I think they said it's coming sometime in the summer.
um yeah, later this year at least. I think it might be this summer, but yeah, they didn't announce any pricing details. But so that will be a very important caveat to this if people sign up or not. I do believe you can, if you're part of the service, you can download the games so that you can play them. I don't think it's like entirely streaming or anything. It's just like a subscription model.
Yeah.
I guess you can only play them as long as you're subscribed. So
Yeah. So it says it's coming in the fall.
okay,
So I just went to their website real quick, and yeah, it looks like pretty much what I was saying. Like that's definitely Oceanhorn 2 that they just showed. Like I said, it's Breath of the Wild, but like
I mean their original game
scaled
was
down.
very
Wind Waker.
Zelda-ish. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Except for the isometric, like I hated the look of it. I don't know. It just threw me off. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, personally I don't really like gaming on my phone. It's one thing to use my phone to play a quick like golf game or something if I'm like on the metro or, play solitaire or something like that, but I don't like getting into like a long game on my phone personally, and I don't know why that is because even when I used to have an emulator on my iPhone, I'd never like started a game, saved it, and went back to it. It was literally just to play like Mario and run through 3 levels real quick and then turn it off. Um, I don't know if this is for me at all. I don't think I will even. I mean, I'll definitely check it out, like to see what comes out with it. I'll keep an eye on it, but I don't see myself subscribing to it unless it's like dirt cheap and there's like at least one thing I want to play on it.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Like the games they're offering are probably relatively cheap themselves to buy separately anyways. So unless they have like quite a few games that you want to try, I don't know. Or you just don't care about owning them, I don't know.
Yeah,
So
yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's pretty much what they showed off. But I don't know what else
it's just
to say. Yeah,
another provider trying to get you to pay them for the games instead.
yeah. That's what it sounds like. what else here? We have PlayStation. They had their State of Play announcement, which is another name for a direct, like Nintendo does.
You know how Sony rolls. They like to take Nintendo ideas and make it their own, but usually not quite as well.
But they usually fail. Um, but I mean, with that said, like I think it's fine. I have no problem with them
Mhm.
wanting to officially announce, have a
Yeah,
platform to officially announce new titles, upcoming games, plans for their future. Um,
and honestly, it wasn't too bad what they showed. Just nothing really quite as exciting as you'd find in a Nintendo Direct, but they did a fine job presenting it for what it was.
yeah, I think the biggest thing was I think a lot of people were expecting like Last of Us, like a new Last of Us game or something like that. And I mean that would make sense because if you think of it like a Nintendo Direct, you're usually at the end of a Nintendo Direct, you're usually getting one big
One
announcement.
big something surprise.
Yeah,
The hard
almost
part
always.
is, yeah, Nintendo just has so much more IP that they can pull from that I don't know if many Microsoft or Sony can really capture what Nintendo does here. It's pretty difficult.
Yeah. So, but I guess the one thing, and a lot of people complained about this, and I understand it to a point, but people were upset that there was like mostly VR games being shown, and I do understand that because I don't think VR still isn't taking off the way I think companies wish it would have. Um, I like I said before, I have an Oculus. I think it's cool. Um, but the Oculus requires, pretty decent dedicated PC hardware. So the upfront cost is pretty drastic for that. But PlayStation is basically showing that their PSVR system, they're really trying to push that with all the updates into the games that they showed off. I mean, they showed a handful of VR stuff. They showed the Iron Man game, which I'm sure will be exclusive to PSVR.
I think it
I
is.
think it was.
I don't know how to pull this off, these exclusive
Yeah,
license, but
and like that's the thing for to me. Like I feel like I've talked to you about this before. I feel like with like Tetris Effect, I feel like
that's another crazy one.
VR is so niche as it is, and then you've got exclusives. So it really kind of, I think it hurts the market more than anything, just because it's such a new technology that like no one's really like no one's taken a hold of the market yet in VR. I don't think. I
Mhm.
mean, I guess you can maybe argue that HTC did with Vive, just because anytime you see a public demo of like VR stuff, it's always Vive. That seems to be maybe what's used more than anything. I mean, Oculus being purchased by Facebook makes it big, but again, like a lot of VR games that you get on Oculus, you can buy on Steam. There's only a small handful of stuff that's exclusive. I don't even know if there is anything exclusive between Oculus and Vive.
Yeah, I'm not
I
sure.
mean, there might be. I think there is like one or two, but it's very. I don't know. I feel
It,
like even for
I don't
that,
think it's anything that has garnered like enough attention that's like, oh, I gotta get this for that game.
yeah, because like I mean, even for me, like I bought Beat Saber on Oculus Store, and I was like, oh, cool. But then I was trying to mess around with the video camera stuff, and you had to use the version on Steam, which what used HTC, but you can use Oculus with Steam too, which is great. But I didn't want to buy it, but I did. I ended up buying Beat Saber again, so I have it twice, just so I could try to get this camera thing to work, and it doesn't work. So it's kind of like a waste, but it was like $15. It wasn't a big deal, but it would have been nice if it worked. But regardless, um, that's just my whole thing about like Tetris Effect being exclusive. This Iron Man game, which I probably wouldn't play anyway, but it being exclusive is annoying. The Resident Evil 7 is exclusive in VR to PSVR. Um, Even though it
And
was, from what I heard, it was supposed to be like an annual exclusive title. So like after the first year, it would come out on
haven't heard
PC.
anything yet.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
there's nothing about it, and I doubt there will be. I heard there was like a mod for it, but then the mod went away, and I don't know.
Uh, and you gotta try Astrobots, which is also an exclusive.
Yeah, that's what you were telling me too. It's like, so what if I'm gonna go to your house and play it, think it's awesome, and then not be able to play it again, unless I go out and buy a PS4 and a PSVR. If I already had a PS4, I'd consider it,
Mhm.
but I don't have one, so I don't know. I just can't justify it. There's not enough stuff for me to play on it, but a couple things that they showed off as well. They showed No Man's Sky, which is gonna have VR support, which I think is great.
That looks pretty cool.
It
Yeah,
looked it
actually,
looked cool. Yeah, it looked really neat. I think they did a really
especially
good job.
considering it's like a free update to the game,
Yeah,
which is
well,
awesome.
they
I mean,
kind of
considering if you have PSVR, but yeah.
well, No Man's Sky couldn't afford to charge anybody for that based on what they did when that game was released. Just I didn't play it, but I heard a lot about it. I listened to a lot of like other podcasts and read a lot of articles where people, just went off on that game about how it was supposed to be something that it wasn't, and there was like a massive like I think like the subreddit got like shut down because of like how bad it was, how bad the community was like going off on this stuff, and like there was just all sorts of hate. But anyway, from what I hear, the game's like great now. It's supposed to be what it was,
Yeah,
what people were expecting. So, it's a shame it's been tarnished by, you know,
just
bet
poor marketing.
yeah, poor
Yeah.
marketing and, just poor transparency, I guess, with what was
Mhm.
actually going on. I mean, the day one update for that game was a completely different game than what you got
Oh yeah.
from what I
I
remember.
remember like they promised multiplayer, or at least like they said you could see each other, but the odds of that happening were like next to none. And within like 24 hours, people were like, "We're in the exact same location and we can't see each other." And they like showed screenshots, and they're like, "Oh gosh, this happened so much faster than anyone anticipated."
Yeah.
They just got
So,
called out on it.
yeah, it's definitely interesting. I think the VR thing looks really cool. They showed you flying through space. They showed you it looked like they were like building a house or something using like
Yeah,
a gun.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, that was it looks good. I don't know. I don't know if it's something I'll ever play again because I don't have a PSVR and I assume that it's PSVR exclusive add-on. I don't
It might.
know.
I don't know.
um, but one thing that they also showed almost makes me want to go out and buy a PS4 and a PSVR, and that is Everybody's Golf VR, also known as Hot Shots Golf. Love Hot Shots Golf. It's one of my favorite golf games ever. Like hands down. Love it. The that game, at least like Hot Shots, I started playing with Hot Shots 3 on PS2, and me and that game kind of started with a friend of mine who was like in, high school. He's like, "We're going to play Hot Shots and we're going to take a shot every time you lose a hole." And I was like, "Oh man." So, needless to say, we ended up splitting 18 holes, so we had a lot to drink that night, and yeah, that was rough, but that kind of stuck with me forever though because I had so much fun playing that game the first time, and just like the humor in the game. I don't know if you've ever played it before. Um, all of the caddies have like a personality, and they say like little stupid like golf things. Well, they'll be like birds a chirping when you've got a birdie attempt coming up, and they'll just say like just really dumb stuff like that, and they'll applaud, or they run to the ball like with their arms in the air, like you just see them come running after you hit the ball. And it's just a really fun game. I think that the mechanics of swinging the club are it's just a slider bar, but it just feels so good. It's like I don't know. You can hit square to give yourself a boost, and you have a certain number of boosts per round, and all that also depends on like your level, your club. You have different balls that can do different spins that will like you can get a really strong backspin with a certain ball, whatever. just a great series. Loved it. I played a lot of it on PS2. I played a bunch of it on PSP because it's perfect for the PSP. It's like
Oh
an
yeah.
amazing game to play in bed when you're about to go to sleep. Just sit there, play. It's so chill and relaxed too. It's only frustrating when you're in like a battle match with somebody and you're beating them the entire time and then they get like a hole in one on the last hole. But it's a great game. It's perfect for the PSP. I played it I actually played it on PS3. It was Hot Shot to Golf Out of Bounds. That was the last one I played, and I updated my PS3. I had no clue because I never owned a PS3 when it came out. I bought it. I ended up getting a PS3 for free, and then fixing it. And then I went to a local like record store that had used PS3 games and picked up Hot Shots for it. And when I plugged it in and I updated my PS3, it added 3D TV capability,
Oh, cool.
which was awesome because I had a 3D TV and I never, would have even thought that the PlayStation 3 was going to do something like that.
Yeah, I forgot when they actually were pushing that for like a year or two.
They made their own TV. Sony had their own 19-inch TV that was built
That's
for
right.
the 3D capabilities. Um, but yeah, it added 3D to the game, and the 3D, and this kind of, it all kind of comes back to this VR thing. Playing that golf game in 3D was so cool because it gave you depth the of the golf course.
Mhm.
Like you could feel the green. It looked like you're looking out and seeing the plane.
I bet
And
that helps like tremendously just trying to like assess like how far to hit or like
yeah, it just looked
slope
awesome
stuff.
too. It just felt
Yeah,
so nice,
yeah.
and it was a free update that I didn't even know existed. So the day that I saw that, I turned it on. I was like, "Why the hell is it blurry?" Like I didn't have my glasses on or anything. I was like, "Why is the game blurry?" It's like this update broke my thing, and then I realized what it was. I was like, "Oh," because I saw the TV pop up and said 3D mode, and I was like, "Oh man!" And I grabbed the glasses and it was awesome. I thought it was so cool being able to play that in 3D. But that's what makes the VR experience sound awesome for me.
Gotcha.
And I,
Yeah.
and I would love to check that out because even though I have the Oculus, I've yet to play a golf game on it. I've looked
Mm.
online and I just can't find a golf game that I want to play. I keep finding mixed reviews about them, or they look like they'll take up too much space, like
Mhm.
for me to like swing and stuff like that. Um, I mean, I'd honestly be fine if I could just use a controller and just be in VR.
Do you know if this one uses a controller or the Move
From the
controllers?
from the demo I saw, it uses the Move controller.
Okay.
I looked up a demo at it was at Tokyo Game Show like last year. They
Mhm.
they they showed it off, and it definitely was the Move controller they were using, which that's going to be like the Wiimote, of course, which is
Yeah.
copying them again. So, but
I had won some like a couple years ago, and then I kind of wish I had kept them for this VR now, but I had sold them before.
oh, you don't have them
I,
anymore?
no, no, because the only game I had for it was like the sports champion pack that it came with,
Mm,
and I was like, and then I guess they updated like Heavy Rain to use motion controls. I was like, this is fun but gimmicky. I don't really need to keep this.
yeah. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that though. That was like the game when I saw that I was just immediately like, no way, man! I want a PSVR now. But like, I just don't want to. I don't want to spend that kind of money on it. I
Yeah.
might take a look though and see because if I can,
Hey, if you pick me up a couple of Move controllers, you can try it at my place. We'll
right?
try it. I'll pick up the game then.
Yeah, we can either do that or I can. I don't know. I'll trade in some games for a PS4 or something. I don't know. If I don't have to pay for it out of pocket, it's fine, I guess. Although there's a lot of PS4 exclusives though that I need to get. There was like I almost picked up one during Black Friday this past year, but I waited too long, and then the PS4 Spider-Man bundle sold out, and that was a game I really wanted to play. So for 200
Pretty good
bucks, that
fun.
would have been
Yeah.
a great deal to get. And then then if I like I said, if I already had it, then I'd maybe consider picking up a PSVR. But then I need the iToy and I need the all that stuff.
It comes with like the VR bundles,
Oh,
so
does it? Okay, okay.
yeah, yeah,
Wasn't sure about that, but so yeah, I mean, outside of the VR stuff they showed, they did show this one game that looked pretty cool, and that was Concrete Genie. Kind of
yeah,
looked like a
yeah.
kid getting bullied, and
Hmm.
it was like his friends were his drawings, and
Yeah, he like spray paints and paints on the walls, and they come to life, and you actually can really customize the creatures in that game from at least when they previously showed off the demo last E3. And I gotta say, like from what they showed, it looked a little rough the when they first showed this game, but it looks a lot better now from this new trailer. Like has a lot more polish and like personality to it. I love like the animations and kind of just art direction they're going in now. So it's definitely piqued my interest now from what they've shown.
yeah, I'd never heard of it before, and it definitely, like you said, it stuck out. It stuck out of what they showed. I thought it looked really neat, and I don't have a PS4, so I'll probably never play it. But I thought it definitely looked interesting. It looked cool. I was kind of like, I don't even know, like, I don't. It gave me vibes of like just at the beginning of like kind of like Last Guardian. I don't know why, just because like I guess just because it's like a boy and like he's only friends
Just
monsters and stuff like
yeah,
that. Like
yeah.
I think that's kind of why. I mean, I never played Last Guardian either, but just I don't know, just I kind of had that feel of it, just in a completely different art style. Um,
Hmm.
but I don't know. Maybe that's a completely horrible comparison, but for two games I never played or heard of before, so.
No, and I can see the comparison, but yeah, I'm just really drawn to the art style that it's been going with now. It kind of gives me, I don't know, somewhat claymation-y, like Tim Burton-y look. I don't
That's what I
know.
was gonna say just now. I was like literally about to tell you that it looked like what was that movie they did? Was it not Matilda? It was something like that. It was like a art.
Oh,
Um,
like Coraline
yeah,
or
Coraline. That's what it was. Not Matilda.
okay.
But I was thinking of it's like a little girl and she looks like kind of clay but like straw and like
Hmm.
yeah that weird
Yeah,
like
that Coraline, or if you saw the more recent one that they came out with, Kabu and like the Seven Streams, I think it was called.
yeah yeah
That was
yeah
a really cool movie.
exactly. That's exactly the art style that I was thinking of. I never saw those movies either. I know stuff just because I see it, but I never actually pay attention to it. If that makes sense.
I hear you.
It doesn't. It doesn't. Patrick's like, God, Chad's an idiot. Idiot. It's true. It's okay. I am comfortable with who I am. And yeah. So I don't know. We can take a quick break and then we can follow up with some PAX East news. We
All right.
don't have much,
Yeah,
but we've got a lot more to talk about, especially in the last segment. So let's take a quick break.
stick around.
All right, we are back from that little break, and we are going to talk about a couple announcements that came from PAX East this past week. Um, I guess the biggest, most anticipated announcement was Borderlands 3. That's Gearbox, correct?
I believe, yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So I'll let you talk about it. I never played the Borderlands games, so take it away.
yeah. No, I mean, Borderland games are a lot of fun for. They're kind of like first-person shooter, loot-based games. Tons of guns, and they advertise like millions of guns that you can find, all with like different attributes and crazy abilities.
Sounds like America.
Pretty much. But the other aspect that stands out in Borderlands is it has a very fun art style, kind of like cell shaded cartoony, but like gritty still. And just a very warped, funny sense of humor. And yeah, Borderlands 3 looks like more of that. Nothing really stood out too much from it standing apart. It's gonna have more guns, more humor, more characters to choose from. Um, it does look like you might have more environments to explore because I know the first two have been kind of stuck in the same location, so that will be cool if that's
Mhm.
true. To explore multiple worlds this time, but they didn't really show too much of that. So yeah, I'm sure they'll show off more soon. I was kind of hoping maybe they would have had Borderlands 1 and 2 for Switch, but darn, no.
Yeah, there was no Switch announcement for that at all.
No.
And
They are remastering the original for PS4 and Xbox One and PC. I think the PC one is a Epic Store exclusive for 6 months. I
yeah, I
don't know.
think I heard that as well. That's becoming a new thing on the PC gaming. Is I guess people are trying to get these exclusive rights to try to build up their user base.
Yeah,
Basically trying to cut into Steam. I think Steam's kind of been
pretty
the
much. Yeah.
Steam's been the big wig for the last, I got my Steam accounts from like 2002, I think, 2003. So yeah, that's a pretty long time to have the market on lockdown. But there's so many stores though too right now. You've got
Yeah,
Origin,
it's
Ubisoft,
not
all that stuff.
really exclusive if you can get it on your platform still. It's just the storefront in which you buy it.
Yeah,
But I guess I can understand friends. You got your friend list on certain providers or whatever, so it's kind of annoying having to jump back and forth.
yeah.
Um,
I mean, unless your friend, unless if your friends are gonna play the game the day it comes out, everyone's gonna end up buying it on the same storefront anyway. But
exactly.
so
This or whatever you
yeah,
got.
and I know like I don't know how that works, but I know you can add a lot of like non-Steam games to Steam. I don't know if that'll work through another storefront, but
Uh,
maybe. Usually people figure out ways to map that and get it to work, but it's not the same experience, but that way you can still do your in-game overlays and chats and stuff like that, providing the game doesn't think you're cheating because of that. So, um, but I've never played Borderlands. I've always heard good things about it. I just think it's one of those games that it was like Xbox 360, I think, because when I saw a lot of people playing it,
mhm.
and I just never got onto it. At that point, I was playing nothing but like hockey and Half-Life 2. So that was like it. Portal, Counter
I
Strike.
I particularly like it just because it's a fun cooperative game also, and there's not many co-op games out there.
It's
So
true.
I know a lot of my friends will be picking it up, like our old Destiny group that we use. We've been looking for a new game, and this will probably be it. So
Yeah, that's cool. You gonna get on PC or PS4?
probably PS4. I'm
Crossplay?
that's
Crossplay?
maybe.
Nah. We'll see.
Yeah.
So yeah, cool. Um,
Uh, and then the next other game that kind of stood out to both of us was another game being published by Yacht Club, not made by, but published, and that was Cyber Shadow.
yeah, Cyber Shadow looked really cool when I heard about that. The first thing that it actually made me think of was the messenger because it is essentially you are a like cybernetic ninja that is you know running and slashing everything, which is pretty much what the messenger is.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know what else to say about that. It looks really cool though because it kind of looks like Mega Man-ish too. Like
Yeah, it has a little more. I mean, yes, it has a lot of ninja vibes, but it has a little more Mega Man tones to it as well. With the music and just kind of like the platforming kind of segments, kind of gave me that feel.
yeah, there was like I guess maybe it only feels like that. Like there's like big boss enemies that kind of remind me of like Mega Man bosses. The Messenger didn't quite have that. I mean, there was like one boss that was really big and off the screen, but everything else like it wasn't that bad. I mean, it wasn't not bad. It wasn't that comparable. It felt more like a Ninja Gaiden boss for the most part. But from what this looks like, I mean, you've got just these huge bosses in the background. You've got you've got the life bars. You don't have life bars in the
Right.
Messenger,
That's another.
so that's a little different. We talked about that the other day after the trailer. Um, but I think the biggest thing that made it feel like not a Metroid, a Mega Man game was there was one level that looked like you were dodging a beam of light, like
Yeah.
Quick Man stage, and that's gonna be fun. I'm sure. I'm sure that won't cause a lot of frustration and cursing. Um, or you could say it felt like Bucky O'Hare on the NES, which kind of had the same thing. So that game was awesome too. Um, but it had that same quick, quick man sort of, light
Yeah.
flashing, don't let it touch you or you're dead instantly feel. But I mean, Yacht Club's publishing it, so
That's a
I feel like
that's a lot of
it's
faith. Yeah.
yeah, I feel like it's a good sign. I mean, especially Yacht Club was kind of taken under the wing by Nintendo as far as like you know pushing Shovel Knight on Switch and letting Shovel Knight have amiibo and putting Shovel Knight in Smash. So there's a lot of trust there between the Big N and Yacht Club, and if they're taking on this game, I think it looks great. I think it looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. I don't remember when they said it was going to come out, but apparently this game's like 10 years in the making too.
Yeah.
It's
So
like
hopefully not much longer.
yeah, so I mean, I think there was a date on that, but I just don't remember what it was offhand. I really want to check it out, but I hope it's much further away than like next month because I'm finishing up the Messenger now and I don't want to play the same game twice. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's gonna be a lot of fun, and I definitely think people should keep an eye on that one to see how it fares in reviews and overall gameplay.
Yeah. Definitely one to keep watch.
Yeah. So that was pretty much it that I heard of out of PAX. Really.
Yeah. Yeah. Not.
The
There were probably a few other small game announcements, but those are the ones that kind of stood out,
there was
at
some
least
like
to us.
Mortal Kombat 11 stuff, which
Yeah.
I mean that
Which
doesn't.
we already knew was coming. So.
Yeah, it's nothing new. It's just kind of like I think maybe like a character reveal or something like that, or like more trailers on like fatalities and stuff like that was announced. But to me that doesn't. I don't know. I kind of got burned out on Mortal Kombat after like the third one. So now we're at 11. I'm kind of like, eh. I don't know. But that's me. To each their own. But moving on from PAX East coverage, um, Valve finally announced that they're gonna join the VR market. So we've
Man.
we've kind of been talking about VR all night, and at least with the PlayStation and some other games. So this is called the Valve Index, and they're trying to get their own thing. The rumor is they might launch it with a Half-Life game that
That
may
would make a lot of sense.
that may or may not be Half-Life 3 or Half-Life 2 Episode 3, which they need to make. We that
Honestly, if Valve just started making games again, because there was
right?
once upon a time where not only did they make games, but they were some of the most influential games still to this day.
Sit
With your
down,
Half
boys and
Life,
girls.
your
Let
your Left 4 Dead, your Portal. I mean, they've made some
Portal's amazing.
fantastic games. So.
Yeah, like the last like big game I played that they made was Portal 2.
Mhm.
That was it. I mean I played Left 4 Dead, I played Left 4 Dead 2, I played the Orange Box, and I've been playing the original Half-Life since it was on my old 500 megahertz Celeron PC back in like the 90s, and playing Counter Strike through the 2000s. So um, it's They make great games when they want to make games. I don't understand why it stopped, and nobody does. It's
Because they have more than enough money coming in through Steam that they don't have to.
yeah, no, I know. It's just very frustrating,
It
especially
is.
when
It is.
there's such a passionate fan base behind, everybody, but
Ah,
what are you going to do? But honestly,
but
if
maybe this will inspire them. I mean, a system is only as good as the games that go onto it. So,
it's true.
uh,
That is true. So,
and I bet you were even saying like with your Beat Saber and stuff. I'm sure it would be a lot more appealing if it ran natively well on Steam or um, just was easier to handle.
yeah. So I mean, yeah, if it comes out with Half-Life, it's a system seller. It's
Mhm.
absolutely a system seller because I'd probably even consider buying it depending on how much it is. But I would really hope that it would work with Oculus as well. But I don't see that happening if it's their own console. But if that's the way you got to play it, as long as it's like rated as a very good game, I would consider picking it up. I would definitely wait for a review on it, but if it's like any of the other Half-Life games, I would definitely have to grab it because that series deserves more than it receives, and it's very sad to me. But what they've said though, like with the VR, all that's really been announced is that you can pre-order, or there'll be more details on May 1st.
Yep. So
And they say here that the leak is that it's going to be released on June 15th, which is pretty close. I mean, we're 2 months out. So
I wonder if they'd have any presence at E3 or because I don't think they've ever been really at E3.
I feel like they have in the past because I feel like every E3 we always get the Half-Life 3 release date, you know, prank.
That's about
And
like a meme at this point.
or it's always, Gabe from Valve said that Half-Life 3 is a maybe, and then like when you actually listen to what he said, he like never said that, and I feel like there definitely is a presence of Valve at E3, but with E3 pretty much shrinking every year, who knows? Who knows what it's going to turn into? And nobody really needs E3 to make those announcements, and most big developers or gaming companies do their own conferences now. Sony does their own stuff, Xbox does their own stuff, Nintendo does their directs, and they do their own announcements, and then you've got EA that do their own thing, and
Yep,
Valve has done
that
their own thing, Blizzard does
goes
their own
like
thing.
Microsoft is doing.
Yeah, so it's everyone just nobody really needs E3, but I still enjoy it. I still hope E3 continues just because I like that week of E3. I like the hype. I like that you're going to get all your big announcements around there. It just kind of gives you something to look forward to. It's kind of like Christmas in July or June. And
Yeah,
I mean, E3 is the beginning of June. So if this system comes out June 15th, that could be an E3
that's
announcement.
yeah,
So,
exactly.
so it makes sense. But I guess we will wait and see. There's no price details. They said that it'll use a controller called the Knuckles controller. At least that's what it was called in prototype. Now it's called the Index controller. Um, I think it kind of looks like an Oculus controller on top of a Vive controller, but it has like a fabric piece in it that probably for comfort or to tie around your hand. I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I mean, VR is still a growing space. I mean, if this has a higher resolution than the Vive and the Oculus, then maybe it's going to be the next step forward in Gen. What I would assume this is Gen 2 VR. I don't know, Gen 2, Gen 3, something like that. I
Do you
think
feel like this would overcrowd the VR market, or is
I don't know.
more competition a good thing? Like the more that's out there, the more choices people have.
I just think. my personal feeling still goes back to what I said about PSVR. Like, um, the software exclusives kind of taint the market to me right now, just because you know it's so expensive to get into as it is, and then you get it if you don't buy the right one, you're not gonna be able to play a new game that might come out. So it's hard to say. It's really hard to say. But I understand why people want the exclusives because once if you get something that comes out and people like it, then you're gonna sell them. So I just, as somebody who has, I have the Oculus just because it was kind of the most marketed and I heard the most about the Oculus and it seemed to get good reviews for the consumer vision and it wasn't I got it for a great deal too. It was like 350 on Black Friday. It was kind of like I don't know, if I'm going to get VR, I might as well do it now and then, started seeing more and more stuff for other versions coming out. So, we'll see. We'll see how it goes and go from there. We'll see if consumers continue to buy into VR or if it ends up dying out like 3D TVs did. So we'll see. I like it. I personally don't have a lot of space for it currently, and I'm always hesitant to buy a new VR game just because of I don't want to buy something that's going to make me sick. So
Yeah, that's I think the biggest hurdle for VR is just you can't guarantee the experience for every individual player. It's going to differ.
yeah, so I think that's definitely the biggest issue is that that's my problem. I don't want to buy something that's gonna make me sick, and I can't guarantee that. And unless Oculus rates the game, like they'll rate a game based on its comfort level, which is cool because it'll say um, like moderate or intense or something like that. It'll tell you before you purchase it, but um, it just really depends. I mean, I don't feel like VR is good for like an hour or less game session.
Hmm.
Um, that's about all I can really handle before my eyes start burning. I mean, Beat Saber's a little different, I think, just because you're moving around and you're, it's very comfortable because you're just like
Kind of just
standing
like
there.
looking at one direction and
Yeah,
just
you're just staring ahead and chopping and
yeah.
dancing. So it kind of makes sense because the environment's you're not moving, but the environment's moving towards you, so it just feels okay. It feels very natural.
Mhm.
But any of those games where like the camera's spinning or you're moving, it just throws you off and makes it feel really weird. Um, and it's hard for me personally to dedicate a lot of like money into that system unless somebody I know says like, dude, you got to play this. It's really really good. Um, one of my buddies has the Oculus, our friend Jake, and he's always recommending games to me, and I'm always like, dude, I don't know, because I don't want to get sick. And usually, if it's like we played a couple games that were free, like Echo, I think it was called Echo, Lost Echo, or something like that. You're like or is it Lone Echo? I don't remember. But you're basically playing like Ultimate Frisbee in VR.
Oh.
So you're flying around, like you're literally flying around. Everything's kind of spinning, and you can get disoriented really quick. But you kind of counteract it by your character has like wrist, like jetpacks, like on the wrist. So they
Mhm.
kind of like thrust you, so you can like move yourself around to slow yourself down, and but that's also how you like control yourself. So the first time I played it, I definitely got a little nauseous, and then I kind of figured it out that night. But it's definitely hard and takes some getting used to. Um, but yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens with the Steam VR before I go more and more in depth into my qualms with VR. um, but yeah, let's see what happens and make Half Life 3 make it. All right, we're back. Um, taking a quick break to get some water because there's gonna be a lot of talking in this next segment because it's about Nintendo Switch.
Rumors.
Rumors. So rumors are always interesting with Nintendo because some stuff is so crazy you'd think it would never be done, and then they do it. And then stuff that seems so obvious they never do. So,
But this first one has a little bit more credence to it, coming from the Wall Street Journal.
ooh, prestige.
Yes. But they seem to indicate that 2 new Switch models are coming soon. I guess
Yeah,
maybe sometime this year.
something like that.
Yeah.
There's no real details of that, but they have some sort of insider in Japan who's like their correspondent in Japan that claims to have some sort of like source to Nintendo. I don't know if it's like with a manufacturer or what, but to kind of have a pretty good take on this. So, with that being said, they're gonna apparently there's gonna be one model that's kind of a handheld only mode, and then another.
Possibly. Yeah,
Yeah, that's
cheaper, more accessible kind of model.
something. And then another model that's supposed to be like a pro model, which we have no details on what, but the only thing the article says is that don't expect it to be like a PS4 Pro or an Xbox One X or anything like that as far as performance, but
Mm,
that's where the rumors come in. You start talking and thinking like, all right, well, what's your wish list for a pro model? People talk
Yeah,
about, you
we
know,
could get into like what we'd like for both models.
yeah,
What
sure.
we'd expect.
Let's get into it. So, um, let's talk about the handheld one first. We'll talk about the pro one later, I guess. So,
Mm,
if there's a new handheld system, do you want detachable Joy Cons?
I mean, I suppose keeping them built into the system could help cut down costs. So, you could even go as crazy as, do you want it to be more like portable in the fact that like maybe it has a clamshell design or something that's easy to put in your pocket? I don't know.
Make it smaller, like a Game Boy Micro or something like that. I don't know if you do that. I mean, you can't be that
No,
small, but
I don't know.
do they make the screen smaller, or do they just take away part of the bezel and make instead of having the big thick black bezel around it, they just slim it down so it's very edge to edge.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, they talked about they also says that they talk about scaling away certain things like taking away HD rumble.
Right.
Is that
Um,
something you would miss?
Personally, I would miss it. I'd love the HD Rumble,
Yeah,
and it would literally break certain games. Like, there's puzzles in Mario Odyssey, mini games in Super Mario Party that specifically use Rumble. So
yeah.
I'm not sure what they would do to work around that,
Now I wonder if
unless they just like update those games for like uh detecting no Rumble or something. I don't know.
like audio cues or maybe I mean I think
Just a little visual icon or something.
they could probably still do rumble just without the HD rumble kit. They could just
Maybe, yeah.
I would think they could probably just instead of having that HD rumble
Very
however it
simple.
works, just put a tiny motor in like
But
all the
but
old ones
still,
did.
like,
But
uh, for like certain mini games in Super Mario Party, there are mini games that you have to like count how many things are in there, and
yeah.
how would you be able to do that with just a normal,
Yeah.
or so they indicate,
Yeah, I
the
mean
power of HD Rumble?
so I mean with that being said though, it almost sounds like that isn't going to happen because Nintendo doesn't really when have they ever really segmented the audience with like you can't play these on that? I don't know if they would do
uh,
that, would they?
I guess they kind of did with the 2DS and the fact that it got rid of 3D, and not that it broke the games, but there were some games that use 3D and like clever depth perception puzzles and stuff, and that's just kind of wiped away with the 2DS. So maybe they won't care. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess that's a good point. Um, but like you said, you can still play those games. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It would definitely have to be. It had to be cheaper. Personally, I don't think I would buy it myself because I don't play. I mean, I play portable a lot, but I play at home.
Mhm.
I don't take it out. I don't take my Switch out of the house often, and but I can see that being a plus for like a kid having a
Yeah, like
having a smaller console.
I could see it working really well for like families who maybe they want to get a second system for the kids, and if it's cheap enough and they could hand it off or not have to worry about their more higher end model breaking. So
Yeah,
if it was durable.
yeah, it's definitely something to think about. I don't know how the user base would change based on that. I think that if they are going to release a new model of the Switch, either a handheld or a Pro model, um, doing it right at the same time that Pokemon releases is the time to do it, and that's supposed to be coming out this year.
Yes, probably in the fall. And yeah, I could see that definitely being geared towards the cheaper model for the younger audiences. That would definitely strike a good bundle there.
Yeah, I think that would make a lot of sense. They do like a if they did like a faceplate or a backplate sort of thing, like they did with the 3DS somehow, or if they
Yeah,
changed the whole design. I mean, who knows? Who
yeah.
knows what they're gonna say?
If it's a handheld only, I bet they could definitely get much more customizable with the special editions.
Yeah, probably. So I mean, I guess that's all I can really think of is they're gonna do like a handheld mode. It have to be like screen edge to edge, maybe better battery life if it's gonna be a strictly handheld mode.
Yeah, that is a good point. If it's handheld only, that thing's gonna be eating batteries quickly.
Yeah, and then do you still leave the option to dock it on the bottom of this? Like, does it still have that HDMI out capability, or is it just charge port now? Charge port only. I don't think you can get rid of the dock. I mean, I think you still have to keep that option available. But
Yes, but at the same time, if it's a whole like different, like it has the built-in controls or something, that's probably gonna make it harder to fit into the dock.
yeah,
I don't know if they'd make like a separate dock or something for it that they just sell separately. I don't know,
yeah, I'm not sure.
just as an option. But
So I mean, that
yeah,
could that could definitely cut the cost down though, because I think we
mhm.
we talked about the prices that Nintendo charges for the Switch as it is, $299. I think when it first came out, we basically took out the price of the Joy Cons and took out the price of the docking station, and it came down to like the tablet itself was like $120 or something like that. Do you remember?
I mean, Joy Cons are $80, dock is 90, so that's 170 down.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so yeah, you're talking about $130 for the tablet, so by itself. So I mean, I
add
don't.
on some controls to it,
As
and
control, you're looking at like $150 system, maybe two,
maybe
maybe 200 for
I'm
console
guessing
only.
more around 200.
Maybe
Yeah,
like
I
179, which is like the 3DS when it was out,
possibly. Yeah,
so something like that.
I think Japan actually has a dockless Switch bundle that they sell for 250.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which I think was geared towards those who already owned the Switch but wanted like a second one. They need
Oh,
two docks.
the
So
mobile gaming is so much bigger over there though than it is
yeah,
here
so
too.
that makes
So
more sense there.
especially with the space constraints of people and you know, um, but yeah, I mean, I think it definitely has a place. Um, we'll have to see if anything comes out of this rumor.
Mhm.
The rumor came up a couple months ago as well, so it definitely seems like something might be in the works.
Yeah,
Um,
But what do you want on like a more powerful system? Like what would convince someone to upgrade in that sense?
I think really it would have to be increased resolution on the
Like getting like
handheld screen.
1080p on handheld
Do at
or
least 1080p on the handheld. We're getting 720 right now. I personally think it looks fine,
Mhm.
but if you're going to give it more power and try to sell it, I think you have to do 1080p. Just just because. I mean, I
Yeah,
don't know.
I
I mean,
agree.
again, I personally don't care, but um, it just doesn't make sense to be like it's a pro model, but it still only does resolutions from 15 years ago.
Yep, yep.
So it just doesn't make sense that way. Um, Battery life, but
Battery life could definitely be good. Um, yeah,
I think
maybe
it,
just more processing power. Like I remember when they had the 3DS and the new 3DS, and they showed like the comparison to like load times for Smash 3DS. Like it was like night and day between that game. If they can just, I've
yeah,
never really experienced any games that have bad load times in Switch yet, but I'm sure anything that makes them run faster is a good thing.
yeah. Let's see. I'm looking up something real quick so we can. So the Switch now is using Tegra X1, which is the
Mhm.
NVIDIA customized chip that they're using. There's the Tegra X2, which is the next level up and a better, you know,
Mhm.
chipset. So it would make sense to use the
I just
X2.
thought something else. Probably not the only reason. Like they love making new models and stuff, but probably a small motivation for them pushing out new models is to get past that hack that happened with the Tegra one.
Yeah, the hack was well. That was It was a big design flaw too, because the hack was all done on the Switch via like jumpering the Joy-Con slot
Yeah.
with like a paper clip, and then that would short it out and then put the system into like a reboot mode. So I could definitely see that being something they fix. But as far as like a pro model goes, I mean, I think you have to go to the X2. You
Mhm.
have to give it more memory. Give the system more memory. Again, I'm not having any of these issues where like I feel like the Switch is sluggish in any way. But
No.
but to look ahead to the future, if you want this console to last, another 3 or 4 years, it and that they can pull it off. That's really the big thing. If you can pull it off, more memory, the faster processor, and maybe more onboard storage, so we're not all trying to not buy counterfeit storage off of Amazon because that's like the new thing that's like impossible to find a decent price on a on a card
True.
online.
Yeah.
So I think they'd have to do that if they can give you some internal storage or even bundle it with an SD card or something. Um, that might help. That might
Do
be
you
some
think
stuff.
there'd be a game that could highlight a pro model? Like it, you're gonna get the best experience playing this game on this system. Like, would it be like the Metroid Prime trilogy running on there, or
Maybe
Upraised or something?
you could
Or
maybe see like you could maybe launch it, and if it like, I mean, it's kind of late for us, but like Breath of the Wild had some frame drops and stuff like that. And if it smoothed that out, it could make that experience feel even better than what it was. But um, I don't know. I don't know what else they could
yeah,
really do at this point. It would give that freedom. If you can give it more power, it might look more appealing to some of these third party developers that still haven't joined, like
hmm
like EA trying to get Frostbite on Switch and
yeah, or for
release
like
their Maddens and their
even though
NHLs.
Doom and Wolfenstein ran relatively well, I'm sure a little extra horsepower could go a long way for those.
Absolutely, because you could have a more static resolution instead of using the dynamic resolution, which causes texture issues and stuff. Regardless of how well they ran, it's still it's never a bad thing to have more power. I don't think more power is necessary to make good games, but it doesn't hurt. It definitely doesn't hurt,
Hmm
and I'm not gonna be like, no more power. I mean, if they released a new version of the Switch that was more powerful, I'd probably buy one because why not? I mean, it makes sense. It makes sense in the long run because unless they release another one that has more power, 6 months down the road, then but that's just the way technology is. It's especially mobile technology. Mobile technology changes so fast.
Mhm.
Um, so we'll see. I mean, 5 to 10 years ago, we never thought we'd be playing, full full blown console games handheld with the option of just docking it to a TV screen. It just was never a thought.
Crazy.
Unless you were like hooking your laptop up to your TV with like a HDMI cable or something, or you had some like special Game Boy adapter that like you had to mod it to do TV out or something. But that's
The game players. That's how we got
yeah,
this.
Game Boy players exactly. It's you weren't thinking about just okay, I'm home, and then you play. It's come a long way, and it's only going to continue to get better in the future as chipsets shrink and processing power gets cheaper and smaller and more efficient. It's only going to get better. You're going to get better battery life, and it's only going to get better over time. So we'll see. How about you? Anything else that you would want to see from a pro model? I think the pro model would have to have the excuse me, the I think it'd have to have a bezel change as well, a bigger screen maybe, just more edge to edge without the big black border around the screen.
Yeah, that would be nice, but
But you can't change the form
otherwise,
factor.
no. I'd like to be able to keep use of my current Joy Cons. Like
Absolutely, I don't think they can't alienate the people that
that should
spent.
stay interchangeable.
Yeah, I mean
So
people spent
really
thousands of
just
dollars on
small
those things.
changes. Like I imagine it'd be almost like just how iterative the 3DS was to the new 3DS. Just very, very small changes, but enough to make it enticing to like.
Hold on. Sorry. Choke myself in water. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah. I don't think they would do like if they made a more powerful model exclusive games like they did for the new 3DS, but just something that helps older games run better. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean we'll see. We'll see what comes out of it. I think it's going to happen. I mean Nintendo's done it multiple times throughout their every handheld has had their own.
And this is how you know when we've talked too long is I start plugging in my charger.
So so every Nintendo handheld has pretty much had a reiteration of it. Game
Yeah.
Boy, Game Boy Pocket, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Advance SP, Game Boy Micro. I mean, it just keeps going. Then the DS, DSi, DSXL, it just goes on and on and on.
The DS Lite.
DS Lite. There's and then you get to the 3DS, 2DS, XLs, all that stuff. So it makes sense that if Switch is a handheld, they're going to throw that in there as well. So,
Yup.
um,
Yep.
so
There's no reason for them not to. I mean,
yeah,
whatever it grows to install base is only good for them. So
yeah. So we'll see what happens, and it never hurts to have more power, like I said. So
I might just consider it just because my Switch has been buzzing on boot ups. It quiets down after a few minutes, but when I first turn it on, it's like for like first couple minutes, and I'm like, oh gosh,
yeah,
please live.
yeah, you might have to take that thing apart and dust it out or something.
Just wait for the Switch Pro.
Or just wait for the Switch Pro coming in 2019. You heard it here first. No, no, no. But yeah, so we got Switch model rumors, and then yesterday there was some crazy stuff coming out of Best Buy.
The
So
Best Buy Direct.
yeah, the Best Buy Direct to go along with the April Fool's Nintendo Direct with everything coming to Switch.
Everything.
Everything. Yeah, that was fantastic. Um, anyway, they Best Buy, somebody reported. I think it was the first person that retweeted it was Wario64, who's guy on Twitter. He's always sharing deals, Nintendo and stuff like that. But he shared someone else who I forgot the name of right now, um, tweeting out a photo of a Best Buy inventory leaking Persona 5. And it basically said Persona 5's coming out this year, blah, blah, blah. Confirming that, which everyone kind of assumed was going to happen anyway because of Joker being in Smash.
Yep.
Um, and that's this month, right? Is that Joker comes to Smash
Yes,
this
it's
month?
supposed to be before the end of April, so any week now, I guess, day, really.
Yeah. So, and I'm sure we'll probably get some sort of direct on that when that
Yeah.
comes up, some sort of mini direct or.
That might end up being our next episode. We'll see.
Yeah, yeah, we'll see what happens next week. Um, but so we had that, and everyone was kind of like, "All right, cool, that sounded like it was gonna happen," and then like a little later, it pops up. Best Buy also shows Metroid Prime Trilogy with a SKU number, just like the other thing. And again, that's something that we've all been speculating on, just because it's
Yeah.
such a perfect fit. It was on Wii with motion controls. You could do that with the Switch, or you could mimic those into controls, like analog controls, to play those
Yeah.
games. Either way, you could do it.
Just get you ready for Metroid Prime 4, and
Yeah, it makes sense.
being able to play that on the go sounds amazing. It seems
Yeah,
inevitable.
yeah. I mean, I want it to come because I still haven't beaten Metroid Prime. I always get like a third or 2/3 of the way through, and then I just stop playing it. And a lot of that has to do with sitting in front of a TV screen. So if I can play it on Switch, I'll probably beat it. Um, but again, that was something that people are like, all right, cool, it's coming. But then they announced, he posted another thing that he said, we're not done. Now I'm hearing Link to the Past coming out for Switch. And again, there was a Best Buy entry for Link to the Past for Nintendo Switch, which doesn't make sense to me because
That's a curveball.
that's
That's
the
just
one. Yeah, that makes it sound like it's shit because it really does, because that's where you're getting,
either it's completely fake or entirely real because of this. It's just so out of left field.
like, why
Like,
on
why
earth.
would you make this up?
It just doesn't make sense that they would take a single Super Nintendo game, especially with the way Nintendo Switch Online's been going. They take
Yeah.
a single Super Nintendo game and they're going to make a SKU for it and sell it physically in the store. Like, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense at all.
Is it at all?
Unless, they're going to be like,
Because we already have Link's Awakening coming.
Link's
We have
Awakening's coming.
Cadence of Hyrule, which is not Zelda, but it's like cool spin-off. So it's like we got plenty of Zelda coming. Why take this Super Nintendo Zelda and like have it being sold at Best Buy? What is
Yeah.
this?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. So I think it's fake. Um, at least that part for sure. The other two, I still think that they're gonna come, but I don't think Link to the Past is gonna come through a store. If it comes, it's gonna come through Nintendo Switch Online
Mhm.
or something like that. Unless they sell like a Zelda collection or something. Yeah, like, I don't see it coming out, especially the same year that Link's Awakening is coming to Switch.
Yeah, I can't. I'm trying to like imagine what they would even do to warrant that being sold separately. Like, what? would they like offer Master Quest remix dungeons or
That'd be cool. It would
um
definitely be cool to see something like that.
yeah.
I'd play it in a heartbeat. I mean,
They'd have to do something that would warrant being sold outside of like this digital market. So I don't know what it would be if it'd be another remaster like Link's Awakening, but 2 in 1 year just seems crazy. Um,
yeah, I really don't see that coming true as much as I would love it to. Um, I mean, it would be really. Well, hear me out on this. What if they did release it, but they released it as some sort of collection that has online capabilities like the Satellaview games that were released on the Super Nintendo, where you
and
actually that would be crazy. Again, that's not going to happen. I'm sitting here just making up stuff. It would be so cool if they had some sort of thing in place where they're like, "Hey, only a small amount of people got to play these games. We're going to put it on Switch." And they have like a dedicated server now that can, instead of like an actual person like telling you how the game is and how the game gets remixed or whatever, they can just have something set up that does that for you. So you can play online. You're still connecting to their server that's giving you the game information, and it's all in the Link to the Past engine. But it would have to be a collection. There's no way they're just gonna release Link to the Past on a Switch cartridge. It's not gonna happen.
nah.
It's not. It's not gonna happen. As much as I want it to happen, it's not going to happen. And if it happens, I'll be the first one in line.
Yeah, it's so hard to even understand, so
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll definitely see. We'll see what comes from these rumors. I always love a good rumor though. It always gives you something to look forward to, and
And
then
just so much in just a short time span. Like Nintendo's definitely got something up its sleeves. I don't know what's going down over there, but
yeah,
something's gonna come
we'll
soon.
see. And then do you want to start your rumor that you mentioned today about a certain game that might get released on April 15th?
Oh, well, as you may or may not know, Reggie, president of Nintendo America, is retiring, and one of the most famous questions that he gets uh, asked like at every opportunity is, when's Mother 3 coming out?" And this also happens to be Mother's 30th anniversary.
Oh,
So I think it'd be very fitting if he just dropped Mother 3 and said, "There, I'm done. Stop asking. I'm retiring in peace."
that would
Here
be
it is.
that would be amazing. Or a whole Mother collection,
Mother collection.
something. I
That'd be
mean,
fitting for a 30th
they
anniversary.
gave us beginnings that nobody asked for. And then they just completely they put Lucas in Smash, and then they do nothing. It just doesn't make sense. So back to that nothing making sense. So, but if that happened, if they again, that would have to be a Nintendo of Japan, decision. I'm sure.
Maybe
Maybe not. Maybe Nintendo of
we could
America
do
can swing
top
something, and
character match. You never know.
yeah, we'll see.
Like there was I don't think Porky was like a spirit at all in the Smash Brothers adventure mode. Like of all the other characters in the game, he was missing.
Yeah,
And it's Earthbound's anniversary. Reggie's retiring. All the stars are aligning. Do it.
yeah. So you heard that here first. When it happens. Yeah, we'll see. That'll be awesome. That's it's a cool rumor. It's definitely a cool thing to think about, regardless of how you know
Any and every
how.
excuse to ask for Mother 3.
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty great that even like Robot Chicken had that whole claymation thing about it, and or that style of thing was done for
Yes.
that. So, um, Yeah, it'll be cool to see. But I mean, I guess as far as rumors go, that's really it I can think of right now. Um,
Yeah.
there's one more thing I wanted to talk about real quick that just got announced last night that it's not a rumor. This actually is happening that we didn't have on our list, and that's the next three games coming to Nintendo Switch Online.
Oh.
If you want to talk about that real quick,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I don't think
Yeah.
this will take long. So they announced that Punch Out, Mario 2, The Lost Levels, like the actual Mario 2 from Japan, and Star Soldier are coming out, and I think that Punch Out is by far the most anticipated game still remaining that has not been on Nintendo Switch Online yet. So I'm really looking forward to that. People are upset that it's not Mike Tyson's Punch Out, but that's never going to happen due to licensing and the fact that Mike Tyson is, not the greatest person in the world. But even though he's come back a little bit with his really really dumb Adult Swim show, but that's fine. I think Mike Tyson's a pretty funny dude from what I've seen him, on comedy shows and stuff like that. But Nintendo's not going to relicense that. I don't even think they could if they wanted to.
It,
But
it's it's not worth the effort at that point.
yeah, so to me that doesn't really matter because I never got to Mike Tyson anyway without using the code, and Mike Tyson always beat anyway when I use the code, so it doesn't really make a difference if it's Mike Tyson or Mr. Dream because I'm gonna get destroyed. So, but again, I love Punch Out. I played it as a kid constantly. I play it as an adult now constantly, and I still get wrecked by Sandman every single time. So, um, I'm super happy that it's coming out, that it's coming on Switch, just to be able to, fire it up, play the Bald Bull, turn it off, do it all over again. Just I don't know, it's just a great game to kill some time with.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. I
Um,
really like the Wii version of Punch Out. That was a lot of fun, actually.
yeah, I played it a few. I think I played it twice just to do the. I did both modes because you had to like if you beat it the first time, you could do it again and like King
With the
Hippo.
champion out and keep your crown, but like all the challengers were harder the second time around.
Yeah, because I remember like King Hippo had like a manhole cover thing like taped to his stomach, so you couldn't get
Cheat.
the sweet spot or whatever. And um, yeah, it was a fun game. I bought the Wii Fit for that, so because it was the only game that supported it, so you could like dodge,
That's
but like
funny.
it didn't work the way I expected it to because
Now
it
it's
worked
easier with the controls. Just
because I like
yeah.
I would move my weight but not my feet, so it didn't make a difference. But then if I lifted my legs, it would dodge to that side. And I was like, this sucks. And I spent like $90 on that, which now you can get them at every Goodwill for like $10, if that. And there's multiples of them. But yeah, Punch Out coming to Switch Online is awesome. We also have Mario 2, the Japanese version of Mario 2, which is like more of Mario 1, but
Dude, that game is
trolling.
just
I've
have you played it?
I played it on the Mario All Stars on Super
Yeah.
Nintendo, and I remember just getting to like maybe the second level, and then like jumping and like hitting a block in the air and dying, and then I just couldn't get any further. I didn't know what to do.
Yeah, they had like fake evil like invisible blocks that would just like kill you.
It's like
Like you
poisonous
mid jump like
mushrooms and
poisonous mushrooms. The worst was they had secret areas where you'd go over to, and you expect to find a warp pipe to go forward to a new world. No. They had secret pipes that took you back
no, yeah,
worlds
yeah, I heard about that
or
too.
else death pits. You had to choose die or go back.
Yeah,
Like why would you do this?
yeah, it's pretty crazy. I never, I might play it more. I mean, I've played it, but I might pull up a guide and try to play through it just to experience it. Um, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I mean, if it's on the Switch, I'll probably play it now. I played it, like I said, I played it as a kid a little bit on Super Nintendo, but I personally, I wasn't a big fan of the 16-bit um, graphics on the Mario All Stars.
Hmm.
I don't know, it looked weird to me. It made all the games feel kind of weird. It just didn't look the way that I grew up with them, I guess. So I mean, again, I was growing up then. I was a kid. I was like 10 years old, not even.
That makes sense, though.
But
Yeah.
it just looked weird to me. I think I
It was the
really
first way I experienced them, so it looked fine to me. But
yeah.
yeah, I can see if you saw a different style before.
Yeah, I think the only reason I really wanted it was because it was being marketed with the Lost Levels, and then I got it and was like, "Oh God, this sucks. It's so hard." So then I just went and replayed, Mario 1, 2, and 3 with you did get the save states in those games, or you had a save file.
Yeah.
Um, so that was that was pretty much my experience with that game. So I'm looking forward to that. Maybe I'll get to play it a little more. I honestly haven't played much Nintendo Switch Online, but I am happy that a bunch of games are there, like Kirby's Adventure and Blaster Master, and just a bunch of games that I would like to play. Star Tropics, like we talked about last week. It
Yeah.
is a game I want to play. I just, my backlog is, as big.
That's a fun game, and you can beat it pretty fast especially if you use a guide. So
Yeah, most of the NES games are pretty quick. I think the probably the last NES game that I actually played through and beat that I hadn't played in a long time was Zelda 2. Because when I was a kid, I couldn't even beat like the first level of that game. I had no idea what to do. I'd get into like a cave and die instantly. I had no idea what to do. So I played it. I don't know, probably like 3 or 4 years ago. Just I put my CRT TV in the living room and just sat there with my NES and beat it, and it was awesome. Loved it. It was like such a good game. I hated it so much before that, but after playing it, I thought it was fantastic. I still don't rank it in like my top Zeldas, but it was really
no,
good. It was still really good. Once you get
it's
the battle mechanics down, it's
yeah,
fun. It's definitely
yeah,
a fun game.
definitely.
And but anyway, before going off topic again as usual. Um, Star Soldier is the third game that's coming. We're actually getting 3 games again for the Nintendo Switch Online this month, which we haven't had for like the last 4 months. I think it's been like 3 or 4 months. We've only gotten 2 games outside of like the special edition games they've launched,
Yeah.
and which is kind of cool. I mean, the Zelda 2, they start you at the beginning of the game with full maxed out stats, which is, it's definitely
It's,
nice.
it's definitely cool. It's just I don't know if it
I have
really
no
counts
interest in
as
it.
like a game to be added for the month. It's like, well,
No, it doesn't
that should
count.
have just been updated.
Because in Japan, they're still getting the special edition, but still getting three
Exactly.
games. So it's like, all right. But Star Soldier's coming. I never played Star Soldier. I might have it. I might own it. I don't even know, or I may
Mhm.
have owned it at some point. But it's a shooter. It's a space shooter. It looks kind of like it's made by Hudson Soft, and it looks kind of like Blazing Lasers or one of those kind of like Gun Knack. Almost kind of looks like Gun Knack a little bit. Your ship, shoot stuff, power up, don't die,
Yeah.
don't die. That's it. Um, I don't think I've ever played it to be honest, but I've played a lot of those games and they're usually a lot of fun. So, those games are always really good to play with eight-way controllers, which the NES didn't have unless you had the advantage. So I do try to play those with my NES advantage when I do play on my NES, but it's nice that with the Switch you can have that built in with the Joy Cons.
True.
So
Yeah.
I think it'll work out for those games that require 8-way. Otherwise, when you're playing those in 4-way, it's kind of tough to hit the corner of the D-pad to do the same motion when you can get a nice circular motion to move around the screen. So yeah, I just wanted to bring those up because that was fresh off the press as of last night. So those will be released on April 10th. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Something else to look forward to. So
yeah. So it's good stuff. We've We've gone about an hour and 40 minutes tonight.
Okay, I
So
think that should do it then.
I think we can wrap it up for the night. So hope you guys enjoyed. If you may or may not have noticed, got a new mic. Hopefully the audio quality is a lot better this time. Um, Trying to make improvements. So you can find us on iTunes, YouTube, Podbean. Leave us a review, leave us some comments, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And we will see you in episode 5.
Oh man, getting almost to 2 hands soon.
Ooh, almost. We're getting there.
All right,
All
happy
right.
gaming.
See ya.